What is up, everybody? It's Connor here from Unscripted, back with another video. In today's video, I will be previewing and predicting all three matches for CDL Super Week Day 2, and as always, I'll be doing it off the script. So I'm recording this on Monday night. Obviously, you will be seeing this Tuesday morning. My work shift starts in less than 9 hours till I get this uploaded and scheduled and all that. I don't know how much sleep I'm going to get, so the least you can do for your boys, drop a like on the video. I mean, I'm getting not much sleep to do this. The grind never stops, and I'm excited to talk about these matches. We have some fun matches to talk about, so let's get right into it. Kicking things off tomorrow will be the Paris Legion versus the Florida Mutineers. So this is a matchup between two teams who are kind of trending in opposite directions. The Florida Mutineers and day one of the Super Week got their first win of the season. They looked pretty impressive against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. They got off to a slow start in the hard point, as I talked about in my last video, before ultimately coming away with a 3-1 series victory over a respectable Los Angeles Guerrillas team. Now the Paris Legion, on the other hand, they are coming off of an 0-2 start at opening weekend. They have losses to Optic Chicago and to the LAG, I believe, as well. So not their best start, but they're a team that I'm cheering for. They have some pretty good players, and they all, they're easy to cheer for, basically. I have them pretty low in my power rankings. I have them number 11. On paper, I don't see them competing with Florida. I really don't. Of course, I would love to see them compete with Florida and maybe even pull off an upset. It's just tough to see it happening. So the thing with Paris is they're kind of, I guess, unorthodox is a good way to describe them. They just do some things that kind of surprise you and catch you off guard. So that can always be effective in a game mode like Search, of course, or even Control. They can definitely do some damage in those game modes. But Florida, man, I think just slaying power, I think the advantage definitely goes to Florida. And then in Search and Destroy, they're looking pretty solid in Search and Destroy as well. To be able to beat the LIG in Search, they have Awakening with over a 2.0 Search and Destroy KD. Neptune playing well. Skies played very well against who do they play? LIG, yeah, of course. Skies looked good in that series. So did Awakening. I mean, they all did. They all had a pretty good series. Good showing for them. We'll see if they can carry their momentum over into this game. I think they probably will. As much as I want to see LIG do some damage and pull some sort of an upset, I don't see it happening. So in this Group B matchup, I will pick the Florida Mutineers to beat the Paris Legion. I will say 3-1. I'll give Paris a map somewhere in there. Maybe they can take the control. But yeah, like I said, as much as I want to see it happen, I really don't see it happening for the Paris Legion. So I think they'll fall to 0-3, and Florida will improve to 2-1 with that win. Next up is the New York Subliners versus the London Royal Ravens. So London, another team like Paris, as much as I might want to see them have some success, I don't see where their success is going to come from. They're not a team who's going to put up a lot of kills. They're not going to outslay anybody. They're not going to consistently win maps, I don't think. That's just the way it is with them. They have an okay roster of individuals, but obviously their team chemistry is hurting, with Parasite basically replacing or coming onto the team 2 or 3 weeks before the season started, so they did not have much time to practice together. Maybe they'll get a little bit better as they progress as a team, but they're up against the New York team who, despite being 0-1 at the bottom of their group with 0 map wins in the season, I think they're definitely a better team than London. I mean, New York, I usually don't say should have won, because if you should have won, then why didn't you win? But I think they should have won the hard point and the Search and Destroy against the LA Thieves. And the Control, I won't say they should have won, but they definitely could have won. So they could easily be 1-0 right now, maybe with a 3-0 map count. Who knows? I mean, they looked solid for sure against LA Thieves. Just a few bad breaks didn't go their way. But for London, I mean, they lost a 5-game series to the Seattle Surge, where at times London looked pretty respectable, but at times they looked like they weren't even in the same league as Seattle, who by no means is one of the top teams in the league. So I think London could maybe compete in the respawns with New York. I think Search and Destroy probably will favor New York. Honestly, I'm probably going to take New York 3-0 in this one. I just don't see, I don't see where London comes up with the maps in this. They could surprise me for sure. They're a team of veterans. Some of them been playing together for a while, but like I said, just with Parasite and not that he's a bad player or anything, but they just don't have the chemistry right now. I mean, New York's kind of in the same situation. They don't have the best chemistry in the world either, with ASIM being a late replacement. But at the end of the day, I think New York just has the more talented team. I think they have the better leadership, and I think they will come away with the win. Yeah, I'll say 3-0. I don't see it happening for London. I could be wrong for sure, especially with game mode like Control, where it can be really fluky and a worse team can just get pretty much one good break and you can win one offense and then win some defenses and you're good to win. So It definitely could be wrong. London could take a map or two, but I can't see them winning a series for sure, and I don't even think they'll win a map. I think they'll lose 3-0 to the New York Subliners, which would put New York at 1-1, and it would drop London to 0-2. So that would sort of move New York into a big log jam there in the middle of Group A at 1-1, and that would put London at the bottom, of course, at 0-2. And then the third match of tomorrow is a matchup, or today when you're seeing this, tomorrow when I'm making this, the Seattle Surge versus the Minnesota Rocker. So actually, on paper, like when at first glance you'd think, oh, this might not be competitive. You know, Minnesota just beat Dallas, and Seattle's not the best. But when you think about the individual matchups and sort of the different game modes, I think could be a competitive series. So Minnesota, definitely no doubt about them being the favorites in Search and Destroy. They are a very good Search and Destroy team. I personally think they're the best Search and Destroy team in the league, especially from what we saw in day one with Atlanta FaZe falling and kind of getting handled, honestly, by Toronto in Search, because I think Atlanta or Minnesota had the argument to be the best Search and Destroy team. So with Atlanta getting whooped pretty bad, I think that has to go to Minnesota right now. Time for that to change, of course. But heading into the series with Seattle, I don't think Seattle can compete with them in the searches at all. I'm just going to come out and say it. I mean, we know Octane, a good player, not a good Search and Destroy player. Looney, a pretty good Search and Destroy player, but I just don't see it happening. Rocker's just too good at Search, led by Major Maniac and Priesta, but all of those guys are individually, they're pretty talented at Search, and as a team, they are definitely talented at Search. But then in the respawns, I mean, Minnesota hasn't looked sharp by any means in their hard points. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and as you know, I do this off the script. That's why it's in the channel name. So off the top of my head, I can't remember if they've won a hard point yet in their two matches. I kind of want to say no. Not 100% sure, but I kind of think they have not won a hard point yet. So, no, they definitely haven't. No, they did not. They lost both to Dallas, and they lost the 1-2 LA Thieves. So, yeah, they have not won a hard point. Seattle, they've won hard points. Of course, it would have come against the London Royal Ravens, who by no means are a good respawn team, as I was just talking about. But regardless, Seattle has the slaying power if Octane and Gunless are playing to their best, where they most definitely can compete with the Minnesota Rocker in hard point. Some might argue they could be the favorites in a hard point. I don't know if I would go that far, but I can see the potential for that. Just with their slaying power compared to, I mean, Minnesota has the slaying power, but something about their respawns just aren't clicking right now, so that could open some doors for LA, and all of a sudden, you know, you win a hard point, you steal the control, all of a sudden you're relying on one more hard point or just one search, and you can take the series. But I can't see that happening in this one. Honestly, I just can't see it. I think Minnesota should be pretty considerable favorites in this one on the backs of course, their Search and Destroy advantage, but they're good enough that, especially if Seattle is not really clicking, Minnesota should be able to win their first hard point of the season. Now, if Seattle's clicking, then it could be interesting, but if Seattle's not like at their absolute best and Minnesota's just playing okay, then I think the door is open for them to steal a hard point, maybe take the series 3-0. So just thinking about the individual maps, I mean, if it goes, which it very well could go, 5 maps, if that happens, you would have to favor Minnesota because obviously map 5 is Search and Destroy, and that is their strength. But I don't see it getting that far. I think Seattle is just too inconsistent to basically rely on them to win all of the respawns. I just don't think they can do it. I think I will take Minnesota to win this, I will say 3-1. I'll give Seattle one of the hard points because, like I said, that we haven't seen Minnesota have success in that, and we have seen some success in the slaying department and in the hard points in general coming from the Seattle Surge. So I'll say Seattle takes the first map, and then Minnesota wins the next 3 and wins that series 3-1. That would put them at 2-1, would move them up the rankings a little bit for now in the Group A, and it would move Seattle Surge to 1-2, which would put them second to last if my previous prediction goes as planned with the New York Subliners and the London Royal Ravens. So this is a pretty important one with that logjam at 1-1, like I was talking about earlier. These are two teams that are 1-1, so obviously one's going to fall to 1-2, and that will really hurt their chances of being in the winner's bracket in the major, while one's going to improve to 2-1, which would have them looking very solid for getting in the winner's bracket in the first major. So there's stakes for this game for sure, and I think Minnesota Rockers should be the favorites, and they'll probably get the job done. But overall, it's an exciting day of games. There's none of the firepower. There's no Atlanta FaZe or Dallas or Chicago or LA Thieves, but looking at the matchups on paper, they have the potential to be exciting, especially, I think, the Seattle Surge versus the Minnesota game. I think that's the most intriguing, but we get to watch Florida play again the way they played in day one. They're pretty fun to watch. Paris always has the potential to be entertaining. New York, of course, could be considered a fan favorite looking to get their first win of the season. So there's a lot going on here, and even if it doesn't have the firepower some of the other days will have, there's still some fun matchups. I'm excited to watch them. I hope you are too. Now, in terms of a recap, I'm almost 99% sure I will not be able to have a post-match recap for these matches tomorrow, so that's why I want to get this preview out, despite me being on a lack of sleep tomorrow at work. So don't be on the lookout for a recap. I mean, maybe I can squeeze it in, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But regardless of that, this is how I feel about the matches. These are my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, don't forget to drop a like on the video, a comment as well. Let me know your predictions. Let's see if we agree or disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these matches. I just thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the action. It should be a good day of games, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.